Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karava Vahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the divine being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the divine being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto thee, unto us, and to all your beloved children everywhere. O dearly beloved, make it so. So welcome everyone to our Tuesday evening study of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We're making progress in the book. Our reader is Haima Naidu in Denver. She'll tell us where we are, and unless there's something that anyone needs to talk about before we start, and please do feel free if there is anything that you would like to bring up before we start. Haima will just tell us where we are and begin the reading. All right, Haima, please do begin.
Thank you, Brother Shankara. Good evening and namaste, everybody. We are on page 136 on PDF. So you'll have to figure out the book. The topic is Solitude for Householders. It's right after Master's Prayer. We finished last week. So it's a solitude for householders. That's the topic. Small topic, small paragraph. Even if one lives in the world, one must go into solitude now and then. It will be of great help to a man if he goes away from his family, lives alone, and weeps for God even for 3 days. Even if he thinks of God for 1 day in solitude, when he has the leisure, that too will do him good. People shed a whole jug of tears for wife and children, but who cries for the Lord? Now and then, one must go into solitude and practice spiritual discipline to realize God. Living in the world and entangled in many of its duties, the aspirant during the first stage of spiritual life finds many obstacles in the path of concentration. While the trees on the footpath are young, they must be fenced around. Otherwise, they will be destroyed by cattle. The fence is necessary when the tree is young, but it can be taken away when the trunk is thick and strong. Then the tree won't be hurt, even if an elephant is tied to it. That's the end of that topic, solitude for householders. Next topic.
I think it's important for us to remember
Sure.
that in the beginning of our spiritual practice, we do need to be more guarded. We do need to fence ourselves around, as the master is saying, and and do our intelligent best to limit our entanglements, and just very deliberately separate yourself from that which distracts you. This is the meaning of that metaphor of fencing the young plants around. Any other comments or questions about that?
Actually, brother, I'm having a real life situation with that. And it stems from one of my AA sponsee. And for years, I've been trying to to get this person to see if he was ready, and he has no concept of world other than according to him.
Mhm.
And it's really it's to the point where it's really causing me a lot of distraction.
Mhm.
And I'm really to the point to where I think I need to get rid of that distraction out of my life at this point.
Well, if he's not really able to see the meaning of that AA phrase, free me from the bondage of self, then you may be well right. He may
Is it-
not be the sponsee for you.
Because I was reading the verse and where it talks about how for people when they reach a higher level that it's talking about like seeds, and once you roast them they won't sprout.
Right.
And and to me, this thing is proliferating, it's sprouting, it's expanding in my mind and my attention, and causing me distress basically.
Well, you can't allow others to distract you from your spiritual path. If this person, woman or man, they need a sponsor who somehow manages to get their attention. Otherwise, they'll be very likely to start to drink again.
Well, he does relapse every few years. He's been in the program a long time, but I'm kind of have a little bit of a moral dilemma. It's like I really feel like what I'm trying to study right now, and as difficult as it is to get, that I really am. I feel like withdrawing from these distractions.
Well, I understand, and that seems very appropriate to me.
Thank you.
Bhagavan Das, I just wanted to say something. How about giving him a 3-month break? Just 1 quarter. Give him that space.
Well, I
See,
think it's me that needs the break.
you need break. Let's take a break. We are at a plateau. Let's take a break right now. And then
Yeah.
see 3 months from now, if he's really interested in getting back to you, he'll call you back. Otherwise, he's probably not ready yet.
Yeah, well, he's been my longtime sponsee for years.
Yeah,
It's just that
the relapse
we've
of
really kind of come to where it's a contentious relationship, and
You don't need that in your life.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
pulling you into his well.
Because like I said, I can just see the seeds sprouting and proliferating, and you're not supposed to let that happen.
No, you're not. Roast them in the fire of knowledge.
That's great.
All right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad we discussed it. It's just exactly what we should do in a class, is apply these principles to real life situations. Anything else from anyone about any of this, or anything else that you might like to bring up? All right, Jaime, please read on.
Next topic is malady of worldly people and its cure. The disease of worldliness is like typhoid. And there are a huge jug of water and a jar of savory pickles in the typhoid patient's room. If you want to cure him of his illness, you must remove him from that room. The worldly man is like the typhoid patient. The various objects of enjoyment are the huge jug of water, and the craving for their enjoyment is his thirst. The very thought of pickles makes the mouth water. You don't have to bring them near. And he is surrounded with them. The companionship of woman is the pickles. Hence, treatment in solitude is necessary. One may enter the world after attaining discrimination and dispassion. In the ocean of the world, there are 6 alligators: lust, anger, and so forth. But you need not fear the alligators if you smear your body with the turmeric before you go into the water. Discrimination and dispassion are the turmeric. Discrimination is the knowledge of what is real and what is unreal. It is the realization that God alone is the real and eternal substance, and that all else is unreal, transitory, impermanent.
Now let's go over that again.
Mhm.
This is the fundamental definition
I go.
when we're told to discriminate between the real and the unreal.
Sure.
Please read that again, Haima. These are
Discrimination.
the definers.
Okay. Discrimination and dispassion are the turmeric. Discrimination is the knowledge of what is real and what is unreal. It is the realization that God alone is the real and eternal substance, and that all else is unreal, transitory, impermanent.
So the eternal substance is the real. That is, it is eternal. It is unchanging. It is infinite. That which is unreal is that which changes, that which is finite, and that which is time bound. So it's not difficult to keep these things in mind. It's difficult to make the discrimination from moment to moment, particularly when things grab our attention so firmly sometimes. But these are the definitions. So read that again, please, one more time, dear.
Sure.
And we'll move on from there, unless there's something else that
Okay.
anyone else wants to bring up.
Yes. Discrimination and dispassion are the turmeric. Discrimination is the knowledge of what is real and what is unreal. It is the realization that God alone is the real and eternal substance, and that all else is unreal, transitory, impermanent. And you must cultivate intense zeal for God. You must feel love for Him and be attracted to Him. The gopis of Vrindavan felt the attraction of Krishna. Let me sing you a song. Listen, the flute has sounded in yonder wood. There I must fly, for Krishna waits on the path. Tell me, friends, will you come along or no? To you, my Krishna is merely an empty name. To me, he is the anguish of my heart. You hear his flute notes only with your ears, but oh, I hear them in my deepest soul. I hear his flute calling, Radha, come out. Without you, the grove is shorn of its loveliness. The master sang the song with the tears in his eyes and said to Keshav and the other Brahmo devotees, whether you accept Radha and Krishna or not, please do accept their attraction for each other. Try to create the same yearning in your heart for God. Yearning is all you need in order to realize Him. Gradually, the ebb tide set in. The steamboat was speeding toward Calcutta. It passed under the Howrah Bridge and came within sight of the botanical garden. The captain was asked to go a little farther down the river. The passengers were enchanted with the master's words, and most of them had no idea of time or how far they had come. Keshav began to serve some puffed rice and grated coconut. The guests held these in the folds of their wearing cloths and presently started to eat. Everyone was joyful. The master noticed, however, that Keshav and Vijay rather shrank from each other, and he was anxious to reconcile them. That's the end of that topic, which is malady of worldly people and its cure. Now we move into another topic, Disagreements necessary for enriching life. Master to Keshav. Look here, there is Vijay. Your quarrel seems like the fight between Shiva and Rama. Shiva was Rama's guru. Though they fought with each other, yet they soon came to terms. But the grimaces of the ghosts, the followers of Shiva, and the gibberish of the monkeys, the followers of Rama, would not come to an end.
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
Loud laughter.
We're talking about human beings,
Mhm.
the followers of Shiva and the followers of Rama. They'll quarrel with one another.
I know.
And the master is saying, not necessary, not necessary. There's something beyond your petty disagreements. Anyway, go ahead, dear.
That's true. Such quarrels take place even among one's own kith and kin. So true. Didn't Rama fight with his own sons, Lava and Kusha? Again, you must have noticed how a mother and daughter living together and having the same spiritual end in view observe their religious fasts separately on Tuesdays, each on her own account, as if the welfare of the mother were different from the welfare of the daughter. But what benefits the one benefits the other. In like manner, you have a religious society, and Vijay thinks he must have one too, laughter. But I think all these are necessary. While Sri Krishna himself, God incarnate, played with the gopis of Vrindavan, troublemakers like Jatila and Kutila appeared on the scene. You may ask why. The answer is that the play does not develop without troublemakers. All laugh. There's no fun without Jatila and Kutila. Loud laughter. Ramanuja upheld the doctrine of qualified non-dualism. But his guru was a pure non-dualist. They disagreed with each other and refuted each other's argument. That always happens. Still, to the teacher, the disciple is his own. All rejoiced in the master's company and his words. Master to Keshav. You don't look into people's natures before you make them your disciples, so they break away from you. All men look alike, to be sure, but they have different natures. Some have an excess of sattva, others an excess of rajas, and still others an excess of tamas. You must have noticed that the cakes known as puli all look alike, but their contents are very different. Some contain condensed milk, some coconut kernel, and other mere boiled kalai pulse. All laugh. That's the topic. Any comments, Brother Shankara? It's very nice.
What he's telling Keshav is get over your quarrel with Vijay. Cooperate with one another. You're both necessary. And it's all good. Don't fret at one another. Don't quarrel. That'll just distract you from achieving what you want to achieve. And so we have these instances in our own lives where we have some difficulty with someone. Mm-hmm. They seem to be doing things differently than we think they should. Well, let them be. Don't try to correct them. Don't try to persuade them to anything. Leave that to the master, as the Swamis tell us. The master does his own preaching.
That's right.
So we unnecessarily complicate things for ourselves when we get into these things And Bhagavan Das was very clear about one that is now plaguing his life. And so one has to be very clear-sighted about what it is that is auspicious, because you cannot lead someone else's life for them. No matter how much someone is your sponsee, they have to follow. They have to do the 12 steps of AA. Then they will reach the goal and succeed. But if they won't, it's best to just let them work it out for themselves, because you cannot make them do it. Any comments or questions or any other thoughts from anyone about any of that?
It's almost like we have to agree to disagree and be able to move forward
Absolutely. We
and respect other people's point of view. They may not see through our eyes. We can't see through their eyes either. So,
no. And we don't even have to agree to disagree. We can just disagree and leave it be.
yes.
We don't have to make an agreement with them about it. That again can provide a distraction trying to come to some agreement. Just leave it be.
Mhm.
Just leave it
Always look at it, if we all thought the same, then it wouldn't be infinite.
be. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yes, we create the finitude. We limit the infinite, and so that we are provided with finitude, we can deal with finitude. We cannot deal within the infinite. The infinite has no mind, has no. There's no personality there. So we don't connect with the infinite. We know about the infinite in some speculative sense, but we don't really understand it in any way. Anything else from anyone? All right, dear, please read on.
Next, master's humility. Do you know my attitude? As for myself, I eat, drink, and live happily. The rest the Divine Mother knows. Indeed, there are 3 words that prick my flesh: Guru, Master, and Father. There is only one Guru, and that is Satchidananda. He alone is the teacher. My attitude toward God is that of a child towards its mother. One can get human gurus by the million. All want to be teachers. But who cares to be a disciple? Next, the difficulty of preaching. It's extremely difficult to teach others. A man can teach only if God reveals himself to him and gives the command. Narada, Sukadeva, and sages like them had such a command from God, and Shankara had it too. Unless you have a command from God, who will listen to your words? Don't you know how easily the people of Calcutta get excited? The milk in the kettle puffs up and boils as long as the fire burns underneath. Take away the fuel and all becomes quiet. The people of Calcutta love sensations. You may see them digging a well at a certain place. They say they want water. But if they strike a stone, they give up that place. They begin at another place. And there, perchance, they find sand. They give up the second place too. Next, they begin at a third. And so it goes. But it won't do if a man only imagines that he has God's command. God does reveal himself to man and speak. Only then may one receive his command. How forceful are the words of such a teacher. They can move mountains. But mere lectures? People will listen to them for a few days and then forget them. They will never act upon mere words. At Kamarpakur, there is a small lake called the Haldarpakur. Let me read that one more time. At Kamarpakur, there is a small lake called the Haldarpakur. Certain people used to befoul its banks every day. Others who came there in the morning to bathe would abuse the offenders loudly. But next morning, they would find the same thing. The nuisance didn't stop. All laughed. The villagers finally informed the authorities about it. A constable was sent who put up a notice on the bank which read, "Commit no nuisance." This stopped the miscreants at once. All laughed. To teach others, one must have a badge of authority. Otherwise, teaching becomes a mockery. A man who is himself ignorant starts out to teach others, like the blind leading the blind. Instead of doing good, such teaching does harm. After the realization of God, one obtains an inner vision. Only then can one diagnose a person's spiritual malady and give instruction. Without the commission from God, a man becomes vain. He says to himself, "I am teaching people." This vanity comes from ignorance, for only an ignorant person feels that he is the doer. A man verily becomes liberated in life if he feels God is the doer. He alone is doing.
Let's just stop there
There
and
is
read again.
there is one line for this paragraph, and then I'll read back again.
Okay, very good.
Here, God is the doer. He alone is doing everything. I'm doing nothing. Man's sufferings and worries spring only from his persistent thought that he is the doer. Let me go back and read this over again, Brother Shankara.
Yeah, and then here is the formula for us to repeat to ourselves to get some understanding of what is meant by God alone is the doer.
Without the commission from God, a man becomes vain. He says to himself, "I am teaching people." This vanity comes from ignorance, for only an ignorant person feels that he is the doer. A man verily becomes liberated in life if he feels God is the doer. He alone is doing everything. I am doing nothing. Man's sufferings and worries spring only from his persistent thought that he is the doer. Any comments, Brother Shankara? That's the end of that particular topic.
Just that this is the formulation by the master to allow us, we must not think it is just vanity for us to think that we are teaching or we are doing. There's only one teacher, as the master said, that is Satchidananda. He himself said he did not like those three words, teacher, father, so on. No, because that indicated there was something beyond Satchidananda. No. So each of us, even if we have some role to play, if we just see ourselves as the instrument in the hand of the divine, and that is the role that we're playing. It is as if the pen thinks it's writing the letter. The pen is not writing the letter. The pen is inscribing the letter on the paper. Well, that's who we are. We are the ones inscribing the substance of the interaction with day-to-day existence on the paper of that existence. There may be a momentary record if we're fortunate and we write something that becomes popular with others. That record may last for centuries, as whether you can all think of things that have lasted for centuries, even millennia, the writings of the Greeks and so on, the Romans, the writings of more recent people like Charles Dickens. They last a long time because they're so well done and are so meaningful. But that doesn't mean that they have done this. It means that they have been the pen that inscribed it on the paper. Does all that make sense to everyone? Is everyone content with that definition of doing and doer?
It does to me. Thank you, Brother Shankara.
All right.
Next, doing good to others. You people speak of doing good to the world. Is the world such a small thing? And who are you, pray, to do good to the world? First, realize God. See Him by means of spiritual discipline. If He imparts power, then you can do good to others, otherwise not. A Brahmo devotee asks, then, sir, we must give up our activities until we realize God? Master, no, why should you? You must engage in such activities as contemplation, singing His praises, and other daily devotions. Brahmo devotee, but what about our worldly duties, duties associated with our earning money and so on? Master, yes, you can perform them too, but only as much as you need for your livelihood. At the same time, you must pray to God in solitude with the tears in your eyes that you may be able to perform those duties in an unselfish manner. You should say to Him, O God, make my worldly duties fewer and fewer. Otherwise, O Lord, I find that I forget Thee when I'm involved in too many activities.
Now, there it is. We pray to the divine presence in whatever form we pray to the divine presence to reduce our worldly duties so that we can be less distracted from our spiritual pursuits. And so I'm going to ask Ima to read that again.
Sure.
Because it is such a key idea that we don't just leave well enough alone. We say, dear Lord, well, I'll leave it to the master to say it because
Sure.
he says it better.
Okay.
But you hear what he says
Yes.
for us to do. Once again, a formula for us to use to move forward in a practical way.
Here it is. I will go back to Brahmo devotee who asked the question. He asks, what about our worldly duties associated with our earning money and so on? And Master's answer, yes, you can perform them too, but only as much as you need for your livelihood. At the same time, you must pray to God in solitude with tears in your eyes that you may be able to perform those duties in an unselfish manner. You should say to Him, O God, make my worldly duties fewer and fewer. Otherwise, O Lord, I find that I forget Thee when I'm involved in too many activities. I may think I'm doing unselfish work, but it turns out to be selfish. people who carry to excess the giving of alms or the distributing of food among the poor fall victims to the desire of acquiring name and fame. Sambhu Malik once talked about establishing hospitals, dispensaries, and schools, making roads, digging public reservoirs, and so forth. I said to him, don't go out of your way to look for such works.
Uh-huh.
Undertake only those works that present themselves to you and are of pressing necessity, and those also in a spirit of detachment. It is not good to become involved in many activities that makes one forget God. Coming to the Kaligat temple, some perhaps spend their whole time in giving alms to the poor. They have no time to see the mother in the inner shrine. Laughter. First of all, manage somehow to see the image of the Divine Mother, often by pushing through the crowd. Then you may or may not give alms as you wish.
Now, the master is pointing to a very specific place. There was on the banks of the Ganga in Calcutta, probably still there, a big temple with a massive image of the mother as Kali. Of course, the place is surrounded by beggars and priests asking for money, asking for alms. And so what does the master say? First, see the mother, then distribute whatever you choose. There are two messages. First, keep your priorities straight about why you've gone. You've gone to see the mother and to have her darshan and to have her fill you with her presence. And then you'll know how much to give and to whom. You'll just know, rather than just distributing willy-nilly to whoever puts their hand up. Any comments or questions from anyone?
It's really the same as the verse about seek the kingdom of God first, and all else should be added unto you.
It is exactly that. You're right. That's Christ's admonition to us, to keep our priorities straight. And then you'll know what to do. All that was hidden will be revealed.
Mhm.
So this is, how to keep your priorities straight. First, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Seek the heart of brilliance. Seek that shining light. And that shining light will let you know, in the brilliance of that light, you will see clearly what is necessary and what is not. And sometimes there will be darkness. Sometimes there will be pain and sorrow and suffering. But even then, you'll see more clearly what is what and how to behave. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean it's not painful. But at least you'll have better inner guidance and therefore be able to behave more appropriately in an outward fashion. Anything else from anyone? Thank you, Bhagavan Das. All right, dear, please read on.
First of all, manage somehow to see the image of the Divine Mother over by pushing through the crowd. Then you may or may not give alms as you wish. You may give to the poor to your heart's content if you feel that way. Work is only a means to the realization of God. Therefore, I said to Sambhu, suppose God appears before you, then you will ask him to build hospitals and dispensaries for you? Laughter. A lover of God never says that. He will rather say, O Lord, give me a place at thy lotus feet. Keep me always in thy company. Give me sincere and pure love for thee. That's the end of the topic. We're moving on to
And,
path.
and, and there it is.
Yes,
Read again what it is that
sure.
the master says to yearn for.
Okay. Work is only a means to the realization of God. Therefore, I said to Sambhu, suppose God appears before you, then will you ask him to build hospitals and dispensaries for you? Laughter. A lover of God never says that. He will rather say, O Lord, give me a place at thy lotus feet. Keep me always in thy company. Give me sincere and pure love for thee.
And out of that sincere and pure love, out of that comes the guidance from the divine for you to know precisely what to do. And so some days it's clearer than others. But as you progress, it becomes clearer and clearer. And it's not a cosmic thing. It has cosmic aspects, but it's a moment-to-moment thing. You know what to do moment to moment to moment. And that is very satisfying and relieves that feeling of, am I doing the right thing? Anything else from anyone?
Just a curious verse here, talk about doing the right thing. It says, as birds and animals do not take shelter in a mountain engulfed in wildfire, similarly, evils like lust, etc., never ever touch the knower of Brahman.
Because they have smeared themselves with the turmeric of dispassion and discrimination. Those alligators cannot touch them because they have smeared themselves with the turmeric of dispassion and discrimination. So yes, very well thought. Where did you find those verses? Bhagavan Das, where did you read from?
Oh, sorry. That was in the Nectar of Supreme Knowledge. That was the Swami's commentary, actually. Or no, that was the translation, not the commentary.
So read it again.
Hold on, I shut the book. Let's see here. Let me find it again. As birds and animals do not take shelter in a mountain engulfed in a wildfire, similarly, evils like lust, etc., never ever touch the knower of Brahman.
Well said. That is a beautiful book, that Nectar of Supreme Knowledge. And the reason they don't touch us is because we have protected ourselves. Thank you. All right, anything else from anyone? Okay, read on, dear.
Sure. The topic next is Path of Devotion Most Elective for Kali Yuga. Karma Yoga is very hard indeed. In the Kali Yuga, it is extremely difficult to perform the rites enjoined in the scriptures. Nowadays, man's life is centered on food alone. He cannot perform many spiritual rites. Suppose a man is laid up with fever, Suppose a man is laid up with fever. If you attempt a slow cure with the old-fashioned indigenous remedies, before long his life may be snuffed out. He can't stand much delay. Nowadays, the drastic D-Gupta mixture is appropriate. In the Kali Yuga, the best way is Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, singing the praises of the Lord, and prayer. The path of devotion alone is the religion for this age.
Now, I'm going to ask Haima to read that again.
Sure.
But these are the absolute unqualified and direct instructions from the Master about what is most auspicious for us in this end of the Kali Yuga. And those who pay heed, I have seen over years, those who pay heed to what the Master says, rather than willfully saying, oh, I'll be a karma yogi, or I'll be a raja yogi, or I'll be a jnana yogi. Those who say, no, I shall be a bhakta, as the Master instructs. This is what the Master says is the payoff. So please read that again.
Path of devotion most elective for Kali Yuga. Karma Yoga is very hard indeed. In the Kali Yuga, it is extremely difficult to perform the rites enjoined in the scriptures. Nowadays, man's life is centered on food alone. He cannot perform many spiritual rites. Suppose a man is laid up with fever. If you attempt a slow cure with the old-fashioned indigenous remedies, before long his life may be snuffed out. He can't stand much delay. Nowadays, the drastic D-Gupta mixture is appropriate. In the Kali Yuga, the best way is Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, singing the praises of the Lord, and prayer. The path of devotion alone is the religion for this age. To the Brahmo devotees, Master says, yours is also the path of devotion. Blessed you are indeed that you chant the name of Hari and sing the Divine Mother's glories. I like your attitude. You don't call the world a dream like the non-dualists. You are not Brahmajnanis like them. You are Bhaktas, lovers of God. That you speak of him as a person is also good. You are devotees. You will certainly realize him if you call on him with sincerity and earnestness. The boat cast anchor at Kailaghat, and the passengers prepared to disembark. On coming outside, they noticed that the full moon was up. The trees, the buildings, and the boats on the Ganges were bathed in its mellow light. A carriage was hailed for the Master and and a few devotees got in with him. The Master asked for Keshav. Presently, the latter arrived and inquired about the arrangements made for the Master's return to Dakshineshwar. Then he bowed low and took leave of Sri Ramakrishna. The carriage drove through the European quarter of the city. The Master enjoyed the sight of the beautiful mansions on both sides of the well-lighted streets. Suddenly he said, I am thirsty. What's to be done? Nandalal, Keshav's nephew, stopped the carriage before the India Club and went upstairs to get some water. The Master inquired whether the glass had been well washed.
Notice that that's his only question.
Yeah.
He only wants to know that the glass has been well washed. The Master's requirements of us are not complex. We just
Just a clean
have
glass.
to do the simple, straightforward things of ordinary life and do them well. Make sure the glass is well washed. And then it's perfectly suitable to offer whatever it is we wish to offer in that glass or that dish or whatever it is. We don't have to go to great lengths of complexity and ritual. Simple, straightforward. That's all that's necessary.
But is that also metaphoric about the devotee?
How do you mean, Bhagavata?
Are we the glass?
Yes, yes, of course. Yes, well thought. But yes, that's a good connection to make.
Also, at that time, Brother Shankara, germs were so available. There wasn't much cleaner.
Yes,
Things weren't as clean as it, so they needed to double check the glass to be clean, which is a very essential thing in India in those times.
oh yes. Well,
Going back to 100 years, nearly 150 years or something.
well, that's why the master's nephew stopped in front of the All India Club.
Club, yes.
They would get a clean glass with pure water.
That's right.
They wouldn't make the master sick with some impure water in a dirty glass.
Mm-hmm.
But that was well connected, Bhagavan Das.
Yeah, because I mean, we're the offering.
Yes.
So, try to be the purest offering you can be.
Yes. But it needn't be, you needn't go to great lengths. Just make sure your face and your mouth are washed. That's all. This is what the Swamis have shown me over the years. You don't have to go to elaborate bathing rituals and I mean, sure, take a shower, be clean, but it's not there's nothing ritualistic about it. Anything else from anyone? How are we doing for time?
We have about 6 minutes, Brother Shankara.
Okay, please read on.
Okay. On being assured that it had been, he drank the water. As the carriage went along, the master put his head out of the window and looked with childlike enjoyment at the people, the vehicles, the horses, and the streets, all flooded with moonlight. Now and then he heard European ladies singing at the piano. He was in a very happy mood. The carriage arrived at the house of Suresh Mitra, who was a great devotee of the master and whom he addressed affectionately as Surendra. He was not at home. The members of the household opened a room on the ground floor for the master and his party. The cab fare was to be paid. Surendra would have taken care of it had he been there. The master said to a devotee, "Why don't you ask the ladies to pay the fare? They certainly know that their master visits us at Dakshineshwar. I am not a stranger to them." All laugh. Narendra, who lived in that quarter of the city, was sent for. In the meantime, Sri Ramakrishna and the devotees were invited to the drawing room upstairs. The floor of the room was covered with a carpet and a white sheet. A few cushions were lying about. On the wall hung an oil painting especially painted for Surendra, in which Sri Ramakrishna was pointing out to Keshav the harmony of Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, and other religions. On seeing the picture, Keshav had once said, "Blessed is the man who conceived the idea." Sri Ramakrishna was talking joyously with the devotees when Narendra arrived. This made the master doubly happy. He said to his young disciple, "We had a boat trip with Keshav today. Vijay and many other Brahmo devotees were there." Pointing to Yam, "Ask him what I said to Keshav and Vijay about the mother and daughter observing other religious fasts on Tuesdays, each on her own account, though the welfare of the one meant the welfare of the other. I also said to Keshav that troublemakers like Jatila and Kutila were necessary to lend zest to the play." To Yam, "Isn't that so?" Yam replies, "Yes, sir, quite so." It was late. Surendra had not yet returned. The master had to leave for the temple garden, and a cab was brought for him. M and Narendra saluted him and took their leave. Sri Ramakrishna's carriage started for Dakshineshwar through the moonlit streets. That is the end of this topic, Brother Shankara. There's only 2 minutes. If
I
you,
think that'll do it for this week.
I would stop there. If you would like to give any comments or elaborate anything.
Well, just that this is so rich, what we read tonight. It's well worth your review, going back and rereading it. So many definitions, so many points of guidance, particularly such guidance as that bhakti is the path for this time, which the master makes that in such a strong and affirmative way, makes that point. So we're very, very fortunate to have this book, which was created for this very purpose. The master saw to it that this book was created for this very purpose, so that we could learn from it and be guided during the time that he was no longer in the body. So this is a form of his embodiment, this book, and it's glorious. So anything else from anyone before closing? All right. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga Durga Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. And may we know that the mother and father introduced to us as the divine being in the prayer that opens these sessions holds us in a loving and protective embrace. May we have that sense and that assurance with our entire being. May we all be well and in bright spirits. Tomorrow night, of course, we'll study the book Realizing God. And this Saturday, we'll have our regular class. And then on Sunday, the talk is titled Mysterium Tremendum, Latin for the Great Mystery. Why does all of this exist at all? Why does this, that is our experience, why does this exist at all? The great mystery, Mysterium Tremendum. So, see you tomorrow or Saturday or whenever.